Hello, it's a lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV News. To present, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Our top stories in the news tonight: PF attributes KABWATA loss to UPND's alleged use of state machinery to campaign. FEIRA constituency lawmaker supports mining in the lower Zambezi. Government reaffirms its commitment towards enhancing girl-child education through the re-entry policy. In international news, thousands in Mali celebrate expulsion of French ambassador. And in sports news, physical education examination exposes hidden talents among learners, says a PE teacher.
From 31st January to 6 February 2022, Zambia's spiritual atmosphere will take a paradigm shift. The Bible says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord."
Zambia, a nation under God conference
will be starting at 20:45 hours
to 22:30 hours.
Live on Camnet TV channel 274 on DSTV, GoTV channel 98 and Topstar channel 106.
Speakers will be
Bishop Stanley Simnyola, Grace Ministries;
Dr. Nevas Mumba, Victory Ministries;
Apostle Michael Mutemwa from South Africa;
Bishop Nelly Chikwanda, New Life Christian Center;
Apostle Rick Kamwanga, Risen Life Church International;
Bishop Joy Makando, Bread of Life;
Bishop Alex Mwami of Holy Ghost Firehouse from South Africa; and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua.
Camnet Television,
not just another channel.
Hello and thanks once again for watching Camnet TV Main News. The news in detail. Kasupi Ward Councillor in Chilanga District, Tungenengene Chinoya, has called for development of the road in Tubalange area, which leads to the only mini hospital and primary school in the area. In an interview, Mr. Chinoya adds that the road also is economic and has social value as it connects major activities in the area, but it is characterized by huge potholes and a rocky terrain. Meanwhile, residents of the same area have also spoken out, stating that it is a challenge for emergency vehicles such as ambulances to pass through the same road. More in this report.
The poor state of most roads in rural areas of Zambia has always remained a cause of concern, as many activities are dependent on good roads if to run efficiently. Good roads help to drive the economy as they provide easy access to markets, health and education facilities. The opposite is true in Tubalange area of Chilanga District, as the main road leading to the only mini hospital, primary school as well as churches around the area is characterized by ditches. Area Councillor Mr. Tungenengene Chinoya says there is urgent need to work on the road, stating that it has economic and social value, adding that it gets worse during the rain season. A check by Camnet News found that the said road was characterized by rocks and ditches, causing vehicles to pass through laboriously.
This hospital and the primary, together with churches, has got economic value. But as you noticed, it is in a very, very bad state due to the rains and non-maintenance over and over the years. This road has got economical value because at the cooperative, that's where most of the dairy farmers bring their milk that is supplied to Parmalat and Crimbell. The other economic value that this road has, or social value that it has, there is a mini hospital which caters for over 4,000 residents. It also has a maternity wing. Now you can imagine if a woman is in labor and is being brought to the hospital. Not only that, we don't even have an ambulance. The ambulance that services this mini hospital comes from all the way from Chilanga, and it only services this hospital once in a week.
Residents of the same area say the road has especially taken a toll on pregnant women trying to access maternity services at the mini hospital, as well as patients in ambulances due to its condition.
Ngabali tuwamishe kwa government kuchitwatemo bantu pa clinic hapa abantu ngabalwala ambulance ile pita bwino ene emergency ambulance tete ise ingire okusemukisendo mwe.
With the 2030 agenda to achieve good health and well-being, universal access to education and improved livelihoods for all, the affected residents say there is need to establish good road networks in all parts of the country. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Chilanga District.
United Party for National Development UPND Independence Ward Chairman in Lusaka, Ngambela Kabela, has assured residents of Lusaka Central that part of the 25.7 million Kwacha Constituency Development Fund CDF will be used to solve the perennial problem of floods at Kolima Tower bus station. In an interview, Mr. Kabela further adds that, working with the Office of the Area Member of Parliament, it has also been resolved that a portion of the money will go towards resolving sanitation problems at clinics and public tertiary institutions within the constituency. The ward chairman has since urged residents of various constituencies to present major problems within their areas to ensure that they benefit fairly from the CDF.
There are quite a number of issues that were raised by the community. And those issues, we marked about 10 of them which needs to be worked on as quickly as possible. So one of them was the issue of flooding at Kolima Tower bus station. That one was taken into consideration. I think from part of the allocation of the CDF, we'll be able to work on the drainages at Kolima Tower. The other issue was the Lewe Clinic, which needs to be upgraded. Because at Lewe Clinic there's no proper water facilities, and also the space needs to be expanded, especially the maternity wing, because they don't have a maternity wing there. And it's the only clinic that we have in Independence Ward. Yes, the other issue was also the upgrading of Skanze Clinic, because the work started but they've stalled. The other issue was the sanitation problem at Ivalinon. And the other learning institutions, they have a challenge of water and they have a challenge of sanitation. So most of the students, I think they are using Levimo for the toilets and the other facilities. So we'll try to work on those so that we can also work on the drainage, the sanitation.
FEIRA constituency Member of Parliament Emmanuel Tembo says allowing mining activities in the lower Zambezi will not have any negative impact on the environment, as the mine will only cover 1% of the area away from wildlife and the Zambezi River, as opposed to claims from critics of the project. Addressing the media Saturday, Mr. Tembo adds that locals in the area will benefit from employment at the mines, as well as from other developments that will come around the area arising from the mining activities. Stakeholders such as civil society organizations, environmental bodies and politicians have been debating pros and cons of allowing mining in the lower Zambezi. More in this report.
The topic of allowing mining activities in the lower Zambezi has been a heated one among stakeholders, as some have been raising environmental concerns and threats to wildlife that these activities would bring, as well as the need for the preservation of tourism. In a press statement dated 2nd February 2022, Minister of Green Economy and Environment Mr. Collins Nzovu said the decision for Mwembeshi Resources Limited to conduct mining in the area was made during the Patriotic Front government, adding that decisions taken by previous governments are binding. In 2014, the Ministry of Lands, Natural Resources and Environmental Protection granted the appeal by Mwembeshi Resources Limited to conduct mining activities in the area, overturning the objection from the Zambia Environmental Management Agency, a decision which was stayed by the High Court. In adding his voice, FEIRA constituency Member of Parliament Mr. Emmanuel Tembo says the project of mining in the lower Zambezi has been misconstrued to paint a negative picture of the activity. Addressing the media Saturday, Mr. Tembo says contrary to the picture being painted, the mining activities will only take a small portion of the area away from wildlife and the river. He adds that allowing mining activities will help in creating jobs for the local people and help government attain its target of exporting 3 million tons of copper.
The mine will also build local businesses, not only in Luangwa but other towns, through supply of goods and services such as transportation business, food, local lodges, housing, and other players in the value chain. Indeed, a large-scale mine, whether you like it or not, is just a natural way of triggering off other economic activities. Because a mine, for instance, will require its workers to eat, and it was a heavy job, so there will be a lot of food that required. So the people in the district, the production will be forced to go up, and they will have an easy market. Right now, one of the issues is the market. So we have chickens, we have goats, and all these other issues. So this is a very important aspect to us, and indeed we look forward.
Mr. Tembo further says conducting mining activities has the full support of the main chiefs in the area, namely Chief Mpuka and Chief Mbuluma.
As a people of Luangwa, we are ready to fight for the mine to remain open until the last drop of blood. And if the doomsayers are ready, we will take them on, whether legally or physically or whichever way. There is, a threat that they would, yes, when they are doing a petition, we allow them. Okay? We are their own way. If they demonstrate, the people of Luangwa are ready to come and demonstrate. The entire population will be brought here. That's how much we want the mine. So even as I summarize, it is very clear that those opposing the mine are based on misinformation, ignorance, and indeed, these are people that are suffering from colonial hangover. They have not lived there. Others have not even stepped there. They have not stepped there to see what is happening. So, even as I say this, the mine must open and there's no option.
Meanwhile, Luangwa Establishment Chairperson Mr. Joseph Felemenga says apart from the creation of jobs and other social services, the developer will also pay taxes to government and improve its revenue base. The above stakeholders have vowed to push for mining in the area until the same is realized, stating that it is for the benefit of the local community. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Alliance for Community Action Executive Director Laura Miti says the fight against corruption should not only focus on former public workers but also target those still serving. In an interview, Ms. Miti says it is only through this method that corruption can be combated effectively and money saved from trying to recover numerous lost public assets when the officials are out of office. The United Party for National Development (UPND) administration has urged investigative wings in the country to be proactive and curb corruption while working independently, which has seen a number of investigations, mainly of former office bearers in the previous administration, being investigated on corruption suspicions.
It's extremely important that senior serving officials be investigated. Otherwise, this retrospective corruption we've had since time immemorial, where governments look only on corruption that happened before them, is dangerous. So if we're going to see real change with the UPND, we'll have to see prevention, a focus on prevention as much as a focus on punishment of previous crimes. So I hope that if anybody is shown to be corrupt, to break the law, rules, governance, the Constitution, we should see ongoing arrests, ongoing firings.
President Hakainde Hichilema has called for peace and unity in Africa, with emphasis on jobs and business opportunities for the women and the youths. President Hichilema made Zambia's maiden address to the African Union Heads of State Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Saturday, where he called for peace and unity in Africa as a prerequisite for enhancing trade and investment within the continent. President Hichilema says Africa has over 1 billion people, comprising mainly of women and the youth, who are in dire need of better jobs and business opportunities. The head of state says this should be preoccupying the continent's leaders' daily activities, expressing optimism that the African continent can rise up to the challenge. And President Hakainde Hichilema held bilateral talks with the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, in Addis Ababa. The bilateral talks, which took place on the sidelines of the African Union Heads of State Summit and between the two leaders centered on peace and unity for trade and investment opportunities creation for all. President Hichilema says Zambia and Ethiopia share a lot of common values in areas such as agriculture, and these were top on the agenda. Government says education remains top of its agenda, as evidence from the free education policy actualized by the United Party for National Development administration. Speaking at the launch of a community project in Bauleni compound aimed at returning teenage mothers in school dubbed Groundbreakers, Permanent Secretary in charge of Education for Technical Services, Joe Kamoko, says the re-entry policy offered by government is one of the sure way of girl-child education promotion. And Director Spokesperson in the Ministry of Broadcasting and Media, KABWATA, notes that government supports such projects aimed at uplifting the lives of the youths. The project, which also sought monetary pledges, saw the government officials present make donations towards the cause. More in this report.
The re-entry policy launched by government in 1997 advocates that girls who drop out of school due to pregnancy be readmitted after giving birth. While the policy is good, not everyone takes advantage of it, especially those in densely populated areas with no knowledge of education advancement but marriage after pregnancy. While the policy is active in all public schools, Zambia's teenage pregnancy and early child marriage statistics are almost at par with heartbreaking numbers. Saturday, a grade 11 pupil in Lusaka's Bowling compound has launched a project she's calling Groundbreakers, aimed at returning teenage mothers to school. Project founder Sarah Tembo says attainment of education must not end as a result of pregnancy.
At Bowling Township, girls make unwise decisions. They get coerced into having sex against their will by means of physical force, economic pressure, or even peer pressure. The father may be a school, a relative, or even a married man. What do this mean for their future? So in a country where an adult, when you educate a girl child, you educate a nation. Holds so true. So the repercussion of girls dropping out of school due to pregnancy should not be underestimated. So let's get down to the vision of the project.
Director Spokesperson in the Ministry of Media, KABWATA, who attended the event, says government supports education for all, as seen by favorable policies being formulated in the education sector.
We must change our way of looking at things as society and begin to recognize that the girl child is actually the victim and we must take care of her as such. The dropping out of schools is a thing that brings doom upon the young girls. But that cannot be recorded for life. We have an opportunity to take them back to school, to give them a second shot at life. And I want to echo what my mother there was saying. Please, 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 let us desist from encouraging young people to find themselves involved in unsafe abortions. No government, again I insist my PS is here, has given you free education. We have taken away PTA, we have taken away school fees, we have taken away examination fees, and that is why I want to answer my mother who says, school senior ndiye chomai kuti boma yake iboma ya jeshi maana na kole yafika boma ya jeshi yatenga kuti school ingali mahala.
I'm worried, very much worried of what is happening in Bahrain. You see, there is a young lady who has given us a responsibility about education. But if you go in most of these houses, there are most of our children are junks. And I hope I would also like to appeal to the government that these junk asylums, they must be put to an end.
Meanwhile, Education Ministry Permanent Secretary in charge of Technical Services, Joel Kamoko, says his office remains ready to work on projects that support the growth of a girl child and the young people in general.
The things we do, how they are done, and how they should help a girl child in every community continue schooling. Not yenda kagulise nshaba kafupina ba wakakolewa sanzima na age. Enda kagulise ma eggs pafupi na ba. You know what you are saying. You are turning a little girl into a sex worker. As a community. Then we begin to give our children support which is meaningful. We must begin to have an honest discussion about the girl child. But they are the only ones who will ever be mothers.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Minister of Energy Peter Kapala is happy with the construction works carried out by the contractor Dabit Petroleum Limited at the Eastern Province Fuel Depot. Mr. Kapala toured the completed project that was done at a cost of more than 37 million United States dollars and awaits official opening. More in the following report.
The Eastern Province Fuel Depot is complete and awaits official opening by government. Minister of Energy Peter Kapala toured the oil depot constructed at a total cost of more than 37 million US dollars. Mr. Kapala explained government's agenda for constructing the oil reserve.
Zambia will soon start blending fuel with ethanol. So it is an advantage for us now that before we open this depot, we'll convert one of the tanks into an ethanol receiving tank, and the blending part of it will be done on this site rather than anywhere else. The workmanship is acceptable for this type of project, and I don't think I've got any doubt that we are okay with the standards.
The Energy Minister said the depot will create business opportunities for companies in the petroleum sector.
Marketing companies will be drawing from here and distributed nearby, because Chipata is the central point. So the distances of petroleum products being transported from Undola to here will be reduced, which will add advantage to the pump price at the end of the day.
And Energy Regulation Board Chairman Reynolds Bowa was part of the tour.
For us as the Energy Regulation Board, the closer that we can store fuel to the people that consume it, the better, because then we are able to supply very quickly and at lowest cost. So this depot in Chipata is part of a national scheme of strategic reserves that the government is developing. They are developing this one in Chipata, which is almost ready to start operating. There are two in Lusaka, there is Mongu, there is Solwezi in Western Province, there's Choma in Southern Province. So there will be several strategic storages throughout this country.
Sylvester Shimba for Zanis in Chipata District, Eastern Province.
We take a commercial break. We'll be back with more news after this break. Stay tuned.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, Chumi.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free uninterrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom.
Yes, baby.
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum Products for that perfect skin.
From 31st January to 6 February 2022, Zambia's spiritual atmosphere will take a paradigm shift. The Bible says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord."
Zambia, a nation under God conference
will be starting at 20:45 hours
to 22:30 hours.
Live on Camnet TV channel 274 on DSTV, GoTV channel 98 and Topstar channel 106.
Speakers will be
Bishop Stanley Simnyola, Grace Ministries;
Dr. Nevas Mumba, Victory Ministries;
Apostle Michael Mutemwa from South Africa;
Bishop Nelly Chikwanda, New Life Christian Center;
Apostle Rick Kamwanga, Risen Life Church International;
Bishop Joy Makando, Bread of Life;
Bishop Alex Mwami of Holy Ghost Firehouse from South Africa; and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua.
Camnet Television,
not just another channel.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The opposition Patriotic Front becomes the second political party to reject the just-ended KABWATA parliamentary by-election. Addressing the media Saturday, Party Acting Secretary General Nixon Chilangwa says the Electoral Code of Conduct was not followed by the main contender, the ruling United Party for National Development. Mr. Chilangwa has, to this effect, revealed that the PF is compiling evidence of widespread electoral malpractice and consulting lawyers on the next course of action. Meanwhile, the UPND Secretary General, when contacted for a comment, said he needed to study the accusation before responding. More in this report.
I want to encourage all members of the Patriotic Front to remain resolute and continue to work hard. PF is intact. In fact, we are getting stronger and better. Of course, there will be some weak souls who are going to fall by the wayside, but we are not bothered. Such happens. Ours is the mandate to ensure that we reorganize our party, we go down on the ground and mobilize this organization for the sake of Zambia. With that said, colleagues, we do not accept the results from the KABWATA by-election. We as Patriotic Front do not accept the results from the KABWATA by-election because of what I've just stated above. Because the ground was not free and fair. The police were unleashed to intimidate our people.
And for whatever reason, there was that period when there was a necessary power outage and activities were going on in the polling stations. Just want to thank also the media that helped to cover part of the events. But like the leadership has stated here, the elections were not free and fair. They were not free and fair. So we hope that we shall follow through the steps that the leadership is providing. But the churches and everybody that participated, you are brave. Our agents worked under intimidation, and but they still do a great job. I thank you.
Meanwhile, the Christian Churches Monitoring Group has noted that despite the electoral environment being generally calm and peaceful in the 3rd February KABWATA by-election, CCMG is concerned with 3 incidents of violence which involved UPND as perpetrators, while PF were victims in 2 incidents and community members in 1, and the use of inflammatory and insulting language. The monitoring group says these acts violate the Electoral Code of Conduct, which calls on the Electoral Commission of Zambia to enforce the Electoral Code of Conduct and police to investigate all acts of politically motivated violence and punish the perpetrators. CCMG has called on the UPND and PF to immediately take disciplinary action against those members responsible for these acts, and for all political parties to ensure that members found perpetrating violence or other violation of the code face consequences. Meanwhile, CCMG has described the KABWATA by-election as that which followed standard procedure. They have since called for quick electoral reforms which will prevent the reoccurrence of the postponement of the elections such as that in KABWATA. The Christian Churches Monitoring Group, CCMG, is an alliance of 4 faith-based organizations formed to help promote credible elections through non-partisan citizen monitoring.
We recruited, trained and deployed 131 monitors, 1 at every polling station in KABWATA constituency. CCMG deployed 5 ward supervisors who served as mobile monitors on election day. The objective of CCMG by-election project was to contribute to enhance transparency and accountability of the KABWATA by-election by providing systematic factual information on the conduct of the process and inclusion by giving voters the confidence to participate in the electoral process. The pre-election assessment. Despite the electoral environment being generally calm and peaceful, CCMG notes with concern 3 incidents of violence which involved UPND as perpetrators, while PF were victims in 2 incidents and community members in 1, and 1 use of inflammatory and insulting language. These acts violate the Electoral Code of Conduct and CCMG Code on the Electoral Commission of Zambia to enforce the Electoral Code of Conduct, and the police to investigate all acts of politically motivated violence and punish the perpetrators. CCMG also calls on UPND and PF to immediately take disciplinary action against those members responsible for these acts, and for all political parties to ensure that members found perpetrating violence or violations.
Chingola Municipal Council is set to soon commence a mobile library service in the district in a bid to improve literacy levels amongst early childhood learners in its centers amidst the closure of the library facility due to renovation works being undertaken. Speaking during a visitation at Zikalo Jerry Library Friday, His Worship the Mayor, Mr. Johnson Kangombe, said since the closure of the library has affected numerous users, this has necessitated the local authority to take the lead to introduce mobile library services to the members of the community. He explains that since the library is closed up until March, the local authority, through the Department of Housing and Social Services, will introduce a mobile library in various early childhood education centers in various wards of the district. The mayor added that the mobile library service will be an added advantage to the librarians, as they have been strongly advocating for promotion of literacy levels through e-learning in schools. The e-readers are loaded with books in both English and Bemba to ease and broaden readership.
Library was something as if it is not even a government property. And so even as we are saying, I expected the contractor to hurry the works, but so far so good. But he has to improve, to see to it that schools have opened, and we need our people to have access to the library. And you know, I'm the product of this library. I used to come from Kasompe, going to Shimbola Secondary School, pass through the Karo Library, and knocking off very late, and then I could go to Kasompe. So I would love also, that's the reason, and the new donor administration is emphasizing education as the best equalizer. And that's the reason His Excellency has even introduced free education. And with free education, and since the library is closed until somewhere next month, March, as a local authority, we've started a mobile library. We'll be moving starting next week to your various wards so that we'll be able to do a mobile library there. We have computers that we are going to do it through e-learning as with the local authority expertise.
Jochi Genuine Millionaire Movement Limited Chief Brand Ambassador Chilekwa Mambwe has appealed to government to effectively sensitize people on the formation of cooperatives. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Mambwe says young people should learn to depend on their own resources when coming up with cooperatives. He notes that most people fail to successfully grow their businesses due to high dependency on handouts. More in this report.
Cooperative societies is an act of parliament that provides for the registration, inspection, examination and supervision of cooperatives which belong to the people. 20th December 2021, Small and Medium Enterprise Minister Elias Mubanga emphasized the need for the youth and women to join cooperatives so that they benefit from the Constituency Development Fund. With the above background, Jochi Genuine Millionaires Movement Limited Chief Brand Ambassador has appealed to government to sensitize effectively on the formation of cooperatives.
Them to register cooperatives seriously. And I would also like to send a word of, for lack of a better term, advice, to government officials that are handling the issue of cooperatives to make sure that, they help the youth understand or rather change the mindset that is around cooperatives right now. Many people think that when they register cooperative, they should start waiting for money or handouts from the government. But I'd like to say that, those days are gone. If you really want to run a successful cooperative, you must make sure that you depend on yourselves to raise the money like people do in village banks and village banks.
Mr. Mwambe says young entrepreneurs should learn to depend on their own resources when coming up with cooperatives.
And this is what we would like to advise all the government officials that are encouraging young people to register cooperatives to say when they come together and they begin to expect a handout, then that cooperative will never move. Every Zambian out there looking forward to register cooperatives, as long as you are thinking of a handout, your cooperative will never go anywhere. To supplement government efforts, we must come together with the mind of running cooperative, not as begging balls, but as a business.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
KRI Zambia Executive Director Dr. Frank Kayula says there is need for government to increase the market supply for cashew nut production in Western Province. In an interview with Camnet TV, Dr. Kayula says government needs to come up with a strategic plan of finding the value chain for the cashew nut products. He adds that it is unfortunate that farmers in Western Province are complaining of less market to sell their products. He was reacting to a story carried on the 2nd of February 2022, where a cashew nut farmer from Western Province made an appeal to consider finding a ready and genuine market for cashew nut productions.
Cashew nut are complaining about the market. But then the first question that we ask is, how was the project designed? Because we know that that is a government-supported project in Western Province. They should have planned that whoever produces, this is the market. Whenever we plan projects and end at production, that is a failed project. We have so many projects where in Zambia we have planned for projects to produce cotton, to produce groundnuts, to produce jatropha without a market. Without a market, it's a failed project. It's unfortunate that our farmers in Western Province are complaining, but what we can do for now, we need a solution where we will pick it up as farmer representatives, and we are going to see if we can find a market for them.
This is Camnet Television and not just another channel. We'll take another break. We'll be back with more in international and sports news.
We welcome you to the wonderful world of Savenda Electronics.
At Savenda Electronics, we pride ourselves in manufacturing high-quality electricity and water meters.
Boasting of the first of its kind state-of-the-art manufacturing plant in Zambia, Savenda Electronics manufactures customized smart electricity and water meters of international standards for both the local and international water and electricity utility companies. Our highly computerized factory, run by qualified staff, makes, calibrates, and electronically tests the smart meters to ensure only those meeting customer specifications are delivered to the market. Some of the main features which come with our meters includes notifications about low units, tempering, low battery, and many more customized features. Savenda Electronics provides on and off-site after-sales service and has favorable contract terms for water and electricity utility companies. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And in international news, thousands of people have rallied in Mali against the former colonial power, France. They celebrated the expulsion of the French ambassador. The demonstration happened on the same day the European Union unveiled a series of sanctions against the country's military leaders. Here's a roundup of international news for more.
Waving Malian flags, thousands gathered in Mali's capital, Bamako, to protest against the former colonial power, France. There was even a cardboard cutout of French President Emmanuel Macron, which was later set on fire. The crowd was celebrating the expulsion of the French ambassador. He was given 72 hours to leave after the French foreign minister described Mali's military leaders as illegitimate and out of control.
There are thousands and thousands and thousands of Malians today who say no to France. So what the European Union and France needs to do is respect the Malian authorities. They need to understand that the authorities in charge today are the only ones who can speak for our country.
The rally was called by prominent nationalist activist and member of the Transitional Authority, Adama Ben Diarra, who the European Union says helped overthrow Mali's government in August 2020. The demonstration happening on the same day he was sanctioned by the EU for his role in the coup. The measures include travel bans and asset freezes and target 5 people, including the Transitional Prime Minister, Choguel Maïga, and members of interim President Assimi Goïta's inner circle. Relations with the EU have soured since Goïta put himself in charge and reneged on a promise to hold elections this month.
The European sanctions are a sign of ratcheting up the pressure, but simply follow what the Africans have done themselves. I think dialogue certainly is still an option, and that's the preferred course of action by both ECOWAS and the international community.
But Diarra described the sanctions as an honour, saying expelling the French ambassador is only the latest step in getting rid of Paris's influence.
It's an important step in the fight, but the victory must go all the way. The next step must be the departure of French forces, and then we will start the move towards economic and monetary sovereignty.
There are about 5,000 foreign troops in Mali, deployed to contain years of insecurity in the north. They include missions from France, the wider EU, and the United Nations.
We don't want any foreign troops in Mali. They've been here for 8 years now, and nothing has changed.
There were Russian flags in the crowd at Friday's rally. Russian mercenaries were welcomed by Mali's military leaders last year, and Diarra says he will rely on Moscow to ensure France is forced out for good.
Villagers from the Moramanga district in Madagascar are busy. Everyone is preparing for the arrival of Cyclone Batsirai on Saturday. After passing through Mauritius, the cyclone is expected to make landfall on Madagascar's east coast. Here, the program for the next few hours is simple: prepare as much as possible. This morning we heard on radio that the wind's gust will be very strong. That's why the roofs are being reinforced. In the cities, people are busy as well. While there is still time, the population stocks up on groceries before everything shuts down. According to officials, 600,000 people are expected to be directly affected by Cyclone Batsirai. We are afraid of the increase in the price of basic necessities, especially during the cyclone period. That's why we have stocked up on food so that we don't leave the house. Because of the weather and the current situation, I am making provisions today. Madagascar has put 6 of its regions on high alert as the cyclone approaches with intense winds of 195 kilometers per hour being forecast. The cyclone comes just a week after Tropical Storm Anna killed at least 40 people across the island.
The honor to invite
African heads of states are in Addis Ababa. They attend on Saturday and Sunday their first in-person assembly since the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak. Per the agenda, this year's theme is Building Resilience in Nutrition on the African Continent, but a stack of files is awaiting the 55 member states' leaders. On Saturday, for the 35th ordinary session of the Assembly, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa will review the continental strategy for tackling the COVID-19 outbreak. On the agenda as well, the epidemic of coups that has recently shaken Western Africa following unconstitutional regime changes in Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea and Sudan. The 4 countries have been suspended from the institution. The session has already seen Congolese President Félix Tshisekedi reward photographer and author Oswald Liwat with the first Pan-African Literature Prize. The organization that will celebrate its 20th birthday during the summer also faces challenges. The observer status that was granted the State of Israel will be disputed by some members. Senegalese President Macky Sall will pick up the baton of chairperson of the African Union from President Tshisekedi.
Let's now have some sports news. And now in sports news, a physical education and sports teacher, Natasha Chileshe of Chimwemwe Primary School in Chawama constituency, says the introduction of the 30% physical education examination in the recent years has enabled the discovering of hidden sports talent. In an interview with Camnet Sports, Chileshe says a lot of pupils participate in the 30% practical examination that has seen great talent being produced. She adds that pupils who pass in physical education can be awarded Examinations Council of Zambia school certificates. More in this report.
Physical education and sport is unusually one of the areas that has experienced a major transformation from a non-examinable to a curriculum subject that is examinable from primary to secondary school levels. The Ministry of Education has not only revised the physical education curriculum for schools and colleges, but it has also linked it to the Technical Education, Vocational and Entrepreneurship Training Authority Education Framework. A physical education and sports teacher, Natasha Chileshe, of Chimwemwe Primary School in Chawama constituency, says since the introduction of the 30% physical education examination in the recent years, a lot of pupils have discovered their hidden talents in different sports activities.
30% has to be done at school, which is a continuous, school-based assessment. Then the pupils are on receipt for 70%. So it is done from time to time, and we give pupils ample time for them to be examined. In case the child hasn't done well, we still have them examined. And we try by all means to teach them skills which will be helpful to them in life.
Chileshe adds that pupils' engagement in practical physical education examination has seen great talent emerge.
Sports itself and even just other entrepreneurship skills. Otherwise, the program is really good. It's helping. Apart from just teaching them skills, physical education enables pupils to have a healthy life, to be fit, to be strong, and even it improves on the brain capacity. The brain becomes sharp enough whereby they go in class, they're able to learn things easily, and it's very much enjoyable.
Learners who pass examinations at required levels in physical education and sports are awarded both Examinations Council of Zambia School Certificate and Technical and Vocational Trade Test Qualifications. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet Sports, Lusaka.
To end the news, we look at the stories making headlines once again. PF attributes KABWATA loss to UPND's alleged use of state machinery to campaign. FEIRA constituency lawmaker supports mining in the lower Zambezi. Government reaffirms its commitment towards enhancing girl-child education through the re-entry policy. In international news, thousands in Mali celebrate expulsion of French ambassador. And in sports news, physical education examinations exposes hidden talents among learners, says a PE teacher. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, coming from Luke 10, verse 19. I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. Thanks for watching Camnet TV Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.